All right, I'm gonna call this meeting to order at 7:01. I'm not seeing a whole lot on the agenda for a long meeting, and I do note for the public that school is canceled tomorrow if you have not seen it yet. For agenda review, does anyone have anything to move around? Deb?
I would like to add a quick discussion of that fair funding letter.
Okay.
That I mentioned to you.
And that is, sorry, there's no motion for that, right? It's just a
No.
current discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna add that to the discussion. Jake?
And I suggest that we table the data governance discussion until the changes that Brian's gonna be proposing are actually made.
Anyone have any concerns with either of those suggestions? All right, we will table that, and then I know what that means. There is no non-public tonight, is that correct?
Unless anyone else has need for a non-public.
I'm not aware of anything. All right, we'll get those two birds with that one stone. All right, if the public has anything they wish to speak, they may do so now. I see folks online and no.
Recording in progress.
All right, if you want to speak, please feel free to raise your hand. And Noah, can you add more to the panel? All right, seeing none, we'll move right along to the principal's report. What's going on, Lauren?
Oh, all sorts of fun things. Time is flying. Just can't believe it. Okay, here we are in February. So since our last meeting, we've gained one student and that student landed right in kindergarten. And we know of one other kindergartner starting right after our break. So just continuing to maintain an eye on class sizes, both for this year and for our upcoming school years as we think about now kind of doing our planning, speaking of like scheduling for next year, and thinking about the number of teachers that will be needed in each of our grades based on enrollment projections. The other pieces that I wanted to highlight, and you do have the report in front of you, so I won't read it word for word, but there's two big things to highlight. One, community partnerships and bringing folks in. So under that category, I would just highlight, we had some dental students come in and speak to our kindergarten classes about oral health hygiene, and the presentations were absolutely adorable. It was so fun, so well tailored for our kindergartners, and just really lovely to see these dental students come and give their presentations. And also under that same kind of category, bringing in two authors that have presented some new books, so great partnerships that we have out and about with various bookstores, authors, as well as community organizations. And then the other things could kind of fall under celebrations. So really exciting to have our 100th day of school. It kind of snuck up on us. It felt like all of a sudden, here we are on the 100th day, but you'll see some pictures of the traditional 100th day hats in second grade. And they had their fashion show down in the multi. What you don't see here is just an absolutely wonderful picture that we'll keep maybe for next year's budget book of Nan and I in our 100th day wigs.
Mhm.
So we'll just keep that secret for a little while from you all, but it was quite the highlight. And then other celebrations, celebrating the art show here. It was brainstormed up and came up with by fifth grade students. With a ton of support from other students and our art teacher, Robin Henry. All that work is on display, and you may have seen it depending on what door you came into this evening, but if not, head up to the art room and right outside in the hallways, you'll see all of these student submissions for the art show. And then some pictures from around the school, and if you're interested to hear what's happening in the Ray School through the eyes of our students, there's also a link to the third edition this year of the Ray School Times, a student newspaper being written by and edited by our fourth and fifth grade, a small fourth and fifth grade student cohort. So check out the most important things through our students' eyes as well. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Lauren, as always. Any questions or comments for Lauren? Yeah.
I just want to applaud the ongoing collaboration between the cross school and Ray School with science unit development. I just think that's really exciting.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Moving right on to the final preparations for the annual meeting. And so I believe we already confirmed who is doing which session. Does anyone know they're not going to be there? Fair, thank you for that reminder. Anyone else? I know Kelly is presenting, so she better be there. Right, and then we do need a voting volunteer, so someone who is not up for re-election. Yeah, everyone is welcome. Anyone else want to go? It is entertaining and interesting if you have not done it before.
What's it?
To help count the votes. Kim?
I'll do it, not
Okay. Kim and Deb, thank you very much.
It's usually the people who are
That's usually what we.
rolling off the board who. I can't make
I
that.
think I'm done.
Yeah. Moving right along to the school calendar, this is a draft and it has been discussed at other boards. Does anyone have anything that is worth a shout out? Tony?
I believe that Dresden with our SAU, we talked about adding religious holidays to this calendar, and I don't see it.
I missed that meeting, Jay, there.
Sure, so we had a discussion about trying to add them to the color-coded template that we're using right now, and they're not gonna fit. There's so many. So I'm working with Ryan, she has a complete list. It's probably more inclusive than we need. But we're gonna create a companion calendar so that we have the calendar for our teachers and administrators and everybody really to be able to see what's happening. And then our policy committee's taking it up to talk about how we're gonna sort of codify the ways that we're gonna accommodate people's different religious and cultural practices.
I did see that in the SAU video, so thank you all for that. Right, any other comments apart from that on the calendar? Boy, we're going for speed today. Right, for departing words from our retiring board member.
Oh,
we do
hey,
have-
Ben, sorry, I had my hand up. I apologize, guys, for interrupting. I just wanted to, I keep forgetting to mention this, but I ended up in a conversation with one of the principals about teachers having conflicts with childcare on President's Day, because apparently a lot of our surrounding districts do not take President's Day off. And so in a world where we're trying to think about, days that we want to be able to give our families and days that we want our kids to be in school and trying to balance all that, I just wanted to throw that out there as something that apparently a lot of our neighboring districts are not taking President's Day off. And since that's not part of our vacation next year, that whatever that falls in, I just want to point that out. So just for future reference, I guess.
I mean, is it in our contracts? Like, is federal holiday included in the contracts?
It is a name day in the.
Yeah.
I wanna,
Yeah.
so.
Kelly, can you hear that? Okay, so as Kim was saying, it is a named holiday in our negotiated contracts.
I believe.
Yeah, so maybe just for future discussions, not this year, but future.
Jay, do we know the reason for why it's misaligned next year rather than usual years?
That was the consensus at the Hartford Career and Tech Center and the entire state of Vermont in an attempt to align with New Hampshire. And with each other, because they had different calendars across the state of Vermont. They decided this from here. Right.
Yeah, anything else? Thank you for pointing that out, Kelly. Moving right along to the departing words. So as for those who've been around enough, we know that we give a resolution, a non-binding resolution to Kim and I's earlier discussion about a vote. For when a board member retires, and we are saying a sad farewell to Tony Berry today. And I do have language which we traditionally speak out loud, so bear with me as I pontificate a little while. Okay, whereas one person can make a difference through service to one's community, and whereas Antonia Berry served as a member in good standing of the Hanover, SAU 70, and Dresden school boards for 3 years, serving from 2022 to 2025, including as secretary. And whereas Antonia Berry served on numerous committees during her term of office, including the negotiations and Hanover finance committees and anything else I may have missed. The budget, I think, right? Yeah, and
Compensation.
compensation. And whereas Antonia Berry, that just went away. Hold on a second. There we go. And whereas Antonia Berry has been a tireless advocate and spokesperson for students, parents, and the board within a 3-year time frame. And whereas Antonia Berry's unwavering principled stance on numerous topics has served as an example for all board members. And whereas Antonia Berry has served as an invaluable asset to board members and will offer guidance and direction for countless generations of future board members in Hanover. And whereas the Hanover schools not only maintained, but also in many respects improved upon their quality during Antonia Berry's years of service as a board member in Hanover and Dresden. We, the undersigned, extend our heartfelt gratitude and deep appreciation for the difference Antonia Berry has made in the lives of students in Hanover, New Hampshire during her years of service and for many years to come. We give you official treats, which I'm totally repeating as I go. Thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you, Dan.
Would you like to do any speechifying?
Just to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to the voters of Hanover who elected me, and I appreciate all the service that you all do, which is a lot more than I did with all the things that you serve on. And I think that the entire town owes you gratitude for all the work you did, including, I mean, obviously our professional staff and, but really board members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony. Tony knows we all love an efficient night, so we'll keep moving. Jay, do we have enough counts for the survey to have a discussion?
Well, we're almost there. We have 5 out of 7 completed surveys. So I'll give you a quick verbal rundown of the results so far.
Okay, and I will
And
point
we'll
out,
keep it open.
Yeah.
And then we can do a follow-up at the next meeting.
and I'll point out that all 7 of us are here tonight or in person or virtually, so if you know you have not done it, please do so quickly.
So on the main item that goes through the enumerated duties of the school board, all of the responses fell into either the exceeds or meet standards category. So we evaluated ourselves positively there. Same thing, everything, actually, 100% of the 5 people who responded so far said that our regular meetings are pleasantly effective. And all but one of our respondents said they're pleasantly efficient. The other one said mostly efficient. Very few open-ended comments. I'll summarize those at the next meeting. This one's pretty good because it's so true. Fastest of the board meetings while seemingly still allowing plenty of time for discussion. And I will say that about the Hanover meetings. I walk out of here most nights thinking, wow, we covered everything. We discussed what needed to be discussed. And we got out of here in an hour and a half or 2 hours, as opposed to some places where I go to meetings and we get less done and talk for 3 hours. So.
Luckily, we don't know what you're talking.
Just being objective, just giving my objective analysis.
We did our thing.
Yeah, I really think these are models of good board meetings. The 4th question was, unprovided enough information. It was always or usually for everybody with no comments. Unprovided with enough time for decisions for the Hanover School Board. That was, again, always or usually, again, with no comments. I feel comfortable expressing my opinions. All but one said always, the other one said mostly. The non-chair work that we undertake as a board is shared equitably. That had all but one said mostly shared equitably, and one person answered mixed. There were 4 comments there. And again, I'll summarize those at our next meeting. Some were true confessions, and others were just making an observation. More detail. Always and usually, always, all but one said always, one said usually for our board makes appropriate efforts to seek stakeholder input. And there's one comment, again, saying, I like the idea of adding policy updates to the SAU quarterly communications, and I will give Karen Wright credit for that decision. I thought that was a wise thing to do. Everybody agreed strongly that our board maintains a productive and positive relationship with the Ray School administration. With no comments.
Right.
Yes.
As far as training or adequate training, one person said all have had plenty of training, and the rest said most have received training. For organization structure being optimal, that was a little bit more mixed. We had one person saying it was ideal. We had 3 people saying that it needs minor adjustments, and one person saying it could be improved but works well. Same thing, same breakdown for attendance at regular Hanover school board meetings. One saying it's perfect, one saying it's mixed, and the rest saying it's usually high. Attendance at appointed Hanover school board committee meetings, usually high with 4 out of 5, and is mixed with 1. Hanover school board members come prepared for meetings? All and most. Our board is making sufficient progress on our stated board goals. Let's see, 2 people said we seem to be on track to achieve our goals, and 3 people said we're making slow but steady progress, so top 2 responses. And did you have any other comments or suggestions? And there were none. So far, there's still 2 of you who have room to offer any suggestions you might have.
All right, thank you all. Does anyone have any comments on that, knowing we'll discuss it in more detail next month? Okay, seeing none, we will continue moving along to the Illinois purchasing card thing. This was talked about at Dresden and SAU last week. Teresa, do you have any updates for us, or is it the same material?
Same stuff that you've already heard regarding the program, and we'd like to continue to move forward and everything else and kind of replace the concept of everyday use of using the American Express, which also is getting harder and harder to use. A lot of different vendors are not taking it. So it puts us on a blind anyhow. And so the C-card program will absolutely give us an outlet for making the purchases easier and anything else, and not just pointing on using multiple vendors and everything else, because it will act as like a MasterCard.
Does anyone have any questions, knowing that we talked about this previously? Okay. All right, business requiring action. I will take a motion by consent if anyone feels comfortable noting that the calendar and the resolution for the P card are in there.
Were we gonna discuss
Thank you for that reminder.
item?
Okay, so Deb, you want to lead us through that?
Sure, I would love to have, just some guidance from the board or a conversation from the board. Because I was reached out to by a fair funding organization seeking signatures from local officials, board members, select board members, to a letter, excuse me, that basically is, it will go to the House Finance Committee and is basically emphasizing the importance of equitable education funding and asking the committee to prioritize that. It's something that is easy for me to want to sign on to. It's not indicating that the whole board necessarily is in support of that. It's just an individual who is a member of the board. And then scrolling through the signatures that have been solicited and received, very few are from what I would consider an entire school board. So there might be 1 or 2 people from the Derry School Board, somebody from the Lyme School Board. So it seems that there is a model out there for individuals signing on and saying, I'm a member of the school board and I think equitable funding makes sense. But I'm also mindful that the board might not see it that way. So I'm basically looking for a conversation or a sense of whether that matters. I think when I've testified down in Concord to the legislature on issues related to education, I always make clear that I am a school board member, but I'm not speaking on behalf of the board. So it's nice to be able to say, I'm a school board member, I know what I'm talking about, but I'm not here with everybody else. And so in a way, this strikes me as a similar opportunity, but, but.
And so your concern is that the speaker thing, you're all gonna do whatever, we're all gonna do whatever we want as private citizens.
Right,
But here you're identifying yourself as a school board
Exactly.
member in writing.
exactly.
Okay. Jay, do we have any standing things with that?
As long as you make it clear that you're not representing the will of the board,
Mhm,
that you're speaking as an individual,
mhm.
I don't see a problem with it. I'd love to be curious to know which organization it is.
It's. Oh, come on.
And we'll get both
Just because there are some organizations using us as an example of
That-
inequity.
I think it's New Hampshire Fair Funding.
It is, it is. It's called Funding Fairness, New Hampshire School Funding Fairness Project. And they have a whole long list of local electeds that they're reaching out to. And it would say Deb Nelson, Hanover School Board, but it wouldn't say on behalf of the school board.
And it's being solicited, as far as you can tell, to school board members and select board members, I think, also.
Mhm.
But
Well,
it's
they
not-
actually, yeah, if it's a city council, maybe city council members.
But it's not like a publicly available thing for anyone to fill out.
They're referring to it as local electeds, so they're hoping that the House Budget Committee hears from people in towns and communities all across the state in response to property taxes, which have uneven impact across the state. And theoretically, local electeds are concerned about those imbalances. That's the population they're asking to sign the letter.
You have any thoughts on this or questions for Deb or the concept? Seeing none? Can we think about it?
Not on whether we can act as individuals, if that's the topic of the
Okay.
question. I think that the general topic is very weighty and there's a lot of different problems and solutions to it. And so I just would exercise a great deal of research and to understanding what the solutions are to make sure that that's, something we are wanting to sign on to. This group has testified at the Education Committee and has proposed solutions in the past. And I wouldn't say that a lot of those solutions are being favorably looked at by a majority. And I don't know how Hanover would feel as our own district. So there's a lot of ways to crack a nut, and I just want to kind of exercise that. And so that's what I'll say on that.
Anyone else have any thoughts? Kelly? Seeing none? Okay, so Deb, I think from what I'm hearing
It's okay to say,
is you're welcome to do what you want to sign as an
Okay.
individual, but just make it as clear as possible.
yes.
Whatever stylistic thing that is available to you, that you're not representing the full board.
And in that line, they followed up to ask me, what's the status of this, what's happening? I said, it's on our school board agenda for a conversation, because there is some reluctance to have an individual appear to speak on behalf of the board. And this is entirely consistent with what they're finding from some other school boards as well, and probably council. So I think it's just, you can tell as you look at the list of people who have agreed to sign that there are different degrees of comfort with that, which I think makes sense.
And we're getting move on.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, thank you for bringing that to our attention, Deb. Now moving on to business requiring action. Do I hear a consent motion noting this has the calendar and the P card information in it? Anyone? Deb?
Hold on a minute. I move to approve items B through G by consent.
Seconded by Tara. We have to individually do to Kelly. Kelly, you want to go first?
McConnell, yes. Thanks for the shout out, bitch.
Did you want discussion?
So it's just like, so I'm clear, it's on B through G,
Correct.
and the school calendar will include those holidays. Okay, okay, then Hartman, yes.
Very yes.
Plus, yeah. Plus, yes.
Nelson, yes?
And Keeney, yes, that is unanimous. And I know from the note taker that Kelly is here virtually. Everyone else is here in person. All right, moving right along to the report of the chair. Chair has nothing. We have school day tomorrow, and to make sure to get out and rally for the vote. Snow day, thank you. Yeah. Snow day. And that we are in election season, so make sure to vote when you're able to. Kim?
And just to highlight that we are changing where the voting is. So, because of a conflict with, basketball posting, the election will now be at Richmond Middle School. I'm sure there'll be signs, but I'm sure that'll be new to some folks, so, RMS.
And there'll be all sorts of proclamations everywhere for the town and the schools, right?
Yes, and whenever you go to our website, you cannot get into any page on the website without a big blurb that pops up and tells you that.
Doing the best we can. Any committee reports specific to Hanover, anything on budget, finance committee, NHSBA, improvement? Tony?
I would anticipate that there will be, hopefully the Valley News will publish it, but a letter to the editor, advocating from the Hanover Finance Committee for support of the Hanover school budget.
Okay, great, it's good to know. Any other committee reports? Kim?
Yeah, the CIPC, as is the town of Hanover's capital planning committee, prepared a report and presented to the select board, which there weren't any significant comments, so the report as presented seems to have been accepted. And again, I kind of already given a recap of it. Nothing large this year, but just kind of some building maintenance replacement, as we are also talking about our own with roofs in the future, but they're more on building siding and things like that, projects at the Howe, et cetera.
Great, and basketball speaks for us all. Any other committee reports or comments on what has been said? Seeing none, Jay, how about you?
I just want to add my personal thanks to Tony for her service on the board. It's been a pleasure working with you. Your insight has been super valuable, and again, you can't overemphasize how much time people give, and we're very active on committees, and we're a great, very, very helpful voice on those committees. So I just want to say thank you too. And aside from that, I will reiterate that tomorrow is a snow day. And again, we always take a chance, but I will say all the surrounding districts have all made the same decision. We've been texting since early today. We had a briefing from emergency management in New Hampshire, and I think we're in good company being cautious. It's the wintry mix that they're predicting for tomorrow morning that has us particularly worried. So we're predicted to get a lot of ice, and we all know what it's like to drive around here when it's icy. So be careful and stay safe tomorrow.
Thank you for that, Jay. I echo his comments about Tony. Thank you very much, Tony. Sorry for the omission. All right, Assistant Superintendent Robin is with us virtually tonight. Robin, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you all tonight?
We're all doing well. What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, I've been busy. I've been helping out the NHSAA with their work with the legislature, and I submitted my report about that. Also, we're continuing our science work. I was supposed to have a day with second grade tomorrow, but we'll reschedule that. And we are continuing our work with the ELA committee, which is moving along. So we're making progress there as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And I'd also like to thank Tony for all of her work on the school board and the committees.
Thank you very much, Robin. Any comments for Robin, and also any comments for Jay? I forgot that. Okay.
So so thank you, Robin, for including the various bills that I know it's still kind of in the early part of the session, but I appreciate flagging some of those. We may want at some point to have a legislative update, and where maybe we invite some of our one or two of our representatives to come and speak, if that is helpful for us to understand some of these, particularly the likelihood of these becoming laws would be very helpful, because sometimes it can get rather exciting and then it fizzles out for whatever reason. And so I think things like the cell phone policy, while not as much of an issue in the Hanover School District in Dresden, there's more of a use. So things like that I think would be helpful, and I appreciate you listing those.
Thank you for that, Robin. Tony?
Sorry, I had a question about federal funding, and if anything that's happened will have an impact or has had an impact on.
It's only been happening.
Right. We've not had any impacts yet, but I'm keeping an eye on it. And it's definitely a concern with the federal grants that we receive.
Yeah.
Just in line with that, I think we need to be mindful as a community that we may well have families who suddenly lose jobs. I don't know that we can do anything about that, but I think we need to be mindful that NIH funding, grants at the college and the medical school are all, pretty fragile at the moment. Many are very fragile.
And also the hospital and the VA as well.
Yes, yes.
No, Kim,
I think what would be helpful is if we could have, cause several of these grants, we don't see regularly reported, cause it doesn't really hit our operating budget, just if we can kind of, and I'm kind of looking at finance, right, to get a report on kind of what is our exposure, basically, if we can kind of get a relook at our report and just to see what may come back to us, cause they sometimes will pay for salaries and benefits and, other things, and so I think that would be helpful for the board to look at.
I can do something about that next month if you like.
Thank you.
appreciate
That would
that.
be great.
I can add it to my report for all of our board meetings.
Anyone have concerns about any of it? Right, the board directs Jay to direct the appropriate employees. If I'm doing that correctly.
You hear that, Robin?
Got it.
We're good with Jay and Robin for now. Okay, moving along to the business administrator's report, excuse me. And Jamie's not with us tonight, but we welcome Teresa. Teresa, how are you doing? What's going on?
Too much, right now, we're just kind of still,
And Teresa, would you mind coming closer?
sorry,
Would you mind coming closer if you can for the owl?
should I get closer? Right now, I don't really have too much to report, other than the fact that, again, I think you guys have in here, we're trying to get the audit reports and everything else, getting those wrapped up. We should be getting those reports, all three of them, at least Hanover's by Friday. And everything, have that to do now. I think I gave you guys a piece of paper for the warrant article for MS 26.
Mhm.
So the warrant article's posted and everything else submitted. Don't know that I have anything else to offer right now. It's pretty quiet. We're just trying to gear up for March intensive, which is really starting to come forward more.
Okay.
So I know it doesn't really affect Hanover itself, but.
Any questions for Teresa? Seeing none, right? Thank you very much, Teresa. Kim?
Oh, yes,
Quick
so what we signed today was to approve, one of the ones was the warrant, right?
Yeah.
And that officially says that the election will be at the middle school now, right?
Yeah, it's definitely that on there.
Yeah, I mean, I see that it's in here with the warrant and posting, and so,
Yeah.
I just recognize that when we approved the warrants originally, it was at the high school, and then,
Oh, yes.
but I guess we can just now, when we officially sign it, it could be right, we don't have to take a revote, I just wanted to make sure that it was.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to and every, because you guys read them from here also. That was at the last meeting that we went through reading.
Right, so when we went through, we didn't know about the having to switch it to Richmond Middle School, and as part of the warrant, it said Hanover. I just wanted to make sure we didn't have to
Yeah, do we need to re-sign it with the change in
I
venue?
mean, we're signing it today with the change, so
Correct.
as long as
And
that's
as long as
fine.
it was posted correctly and everything else.
And I'm saying it out loud now to make sure.
It's on the record.
It's on record that we know. Okay, all right, thank you.
And this is just more or less verifying that we posted it as we were legally supposed to.
Okay, great, perfect, thank you.
Any other comments for Teresa? Seeing none, for those who arrived late, there is no need for public session tonight. We took that off the agenda. Second opportunity for the public to present. If anyone out there wants to raise their virtual hand, now's the time. All right, seeing none, I will note that our next official meeting is on March 12th after the election, so we'll have possibly some new board members with us. But we are all going to be at the February 27th annual meeting, except for Tara. Jay, or,
Oh,
just, I was.
Yeah.
Right here, if you have any agenda items for the next meeting, please let me know. Apart from that, I'll take a motion to adjourn at 7:35. Deb,
I move to adjourn the meeting at 7:36
Oh.
p.m. Sorry.
seconded by Tara, individually due to Kelly and in general Kim.
Herman, yes.
Sarah, yes.
DeBlasio, yes.
Nelson, yes.
Kelly?
McConnell, yes.
Yes, thank you all. We're adjourned. We'll see you at the high school in a couple weeks.
Wow.
We'll see you 3 times next week.
Yes, we will.
So
Speaking of that.